There's just something wonderful about giving, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, man. Sometimes when you least expect it,
right.
God's going to ask you to be generous.
Yes.
I'd been off deer hunting. I know you ladies are excited. And I'd put on some camouflage stuff, you know. I'd get in a tree, you couldn't hardly see me, you know. And so I had to do the route to the deer lease. You go through a little village there, a little bump in the road, and a lot of the black people live there. And so every time I'd go through there, there'd be a little bitty granny out there at a wood pile chucking on wood, you know, making. So I'm up in the deer stand just thinking about that, you know. And the Lord said, hey, Bobby. I said, yes. He said, as you drive back, going back, I want you to pull in and give that little lady the cash in your wallet. I said, okay. Well, actually, I said, well, Lord, I look like Rambo, you know. I thought, I'll scare her. I'm afraid she'll be frightened. He said, no, it'll be okay. So I thought, okay, that's going to be fun. Yeah. So here I go. I get through deer hunting, get in the truck, and there she is. She's back out there under a shade tree, cutting up a little wood for, I guess, a cook stove or something like that. And so I go out there, and the Lord said, don't tell her who you are or anything. So I go out there, and I had the money, and I said, ma'am, I want to give you this. And she had herself a spasm. Wow. She threw down the hatchet. She said, and she's old. She said, glory to God. He told me you're coming. And yeah, isn't that amazing? And she was totally serious. Hallelujah. God had already told her that provision was on the way. And see, I'm telling you, you couldn't, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing about that. Can I tell you one other quick story before we move into the message? I was going to do ministry, and the Lord, I was going through some different towns, and the Lord said to me, one of my preacher friends lived in the way I was going, and he said, Bobby, I want you to give him every bit of money you have in your wallet. I don't know how much I had, whatever I had, you know. And I said, okay. I said, I'll give him the love offering when I get back. He said, no, I want you to drive by his house, ring his doorbell, and I want you to give him every bit of the cash money you've got in your wallet. I said, Lord, okay. So this is all true. I pulled off, got the money out, patted it down, pulled up, rang the doorbell. Here he comes. And I'm not sure what all need he had, but God told me to give him the money I had. So I said, here, I want you to have this. And he said, Bobby, he said, I really appreciate it. You don't know how bad I need it. And I said, well, God told me to do it, so here. So I took off and went miles and miles and back where I was going down to preach. And I didn't have a single penny. I thought, I pulled the ashtray open on the car, and there was 17 cents in there. But that was, you know, and I had gas and all the expenses you need. So the Lord said, don't you tell a single person you don't have any money. I said, okay. See, I'm telling you. So I get there and preach that night, and I've been there several times in that place, and it's a poor place, and a little widow woman there. Well, she's not a widow. Her husband left her because her two boys were born and mentally retarded, and they were uncontrollable, and they had to put them in an insane asylum. They would rip people's flesh and bite, and so the husband left the little lady, and there she was with these boys that were just horribly deformed. And so I get there and preach that night, and I'm going to go spend the night in the hotel. And I'm standing back there with the preacher at the back door, and this little lady, poor as she can be, she came out and she stuck something in my hand. And when she went away, I looked, and it was a crisp $20 bill. And I said, Lord, I can't take this money from that woman. And you know what he said? She didn't give it to you. She gave it to me. And then he said to me, the Lord did, oh, I can't hardly stand it. He said, you watch. Now, all of us know you can't buy a miracle, but obedience and your heart. He said, you watch what I do over her sacrifice. $20 bill. It might as well have been $20,000 to her. And guess what happened? The power of God goes to that insane asylum and heals those boys. Oh, listen. I mean, they're as healthy and as normal as any human being ever been born. But see, her prayers and her obedience, and I'm telling you guys, we miss blessings sometimes because we're stingy or we're trying to prepare. And listen, the cattle on 1,000 hills are his, and even the hills are his. Oh man, listen, I want us to learn to be generous, don't you think? God loves a generous a person that's ready, cheerful, happy, not going, well, it's all in. No, give cheerfully.